So let's continue our lecture 3, and we covered dividend decision in the last lecture. So in here you guys can see summary of key financial ratios, and summary of key financial ratios. In here you can see the liquidity ratios and leverage ratios. Ratio, how it's calculated and what it measures, and I mean what it means. I will explain each of them so you can understand better. So in here you can see the liquidity ratio. In the liquidity ratio you can see the current ratio and how it's calculated. Current ratio is calculated current assets of a firm, for example, and divided by current liabilities. That means what it measures? It measures that the extent to which a firm can meet its short-term obligations or not. And in other cases, quick ratio, current assets minus inventory divided by current liabilities, the extent to which a firm can meet its short-term obligation without relying upon the sale of its inventories. So in the case of leverage ratios, debt to total asset ratio, that means total debt divided by total assets, and the percentage of total funds that are provided by creditors. Debt to equity ratio, total debt divided by total stockholders' equity, the percentage of total funds provided by creditors versus by owners. And in here, you can see the long-term debt to equity ratio. Long-term debt divided by total stockholders' equity, which it measures that the balance between debt and equity and a firm's long-term capital structure, right? And times interest earned ratio, is calculated that profits before interest and taxes divided by total interest charges. It measures that the extent to which earnings can decline without the firm becoming unable to meet its annual interest costs or not. So you guys understand, right? So in here you can see the finance accounting functions. How has each ratio changed over time? How does each ratio compare to industry norms? And how does each ratio compare with key competitors? And in this slide, you guys can see the audit checklist, finance accounting audit checklist. That's a very important audit checklist you guys can see. Where is the firm financially strong and weak as indicated by financial ratio analysis? Can the firm raise needed short-term capital? Can the firm raise needed long-term capital through debt and equity? Does the firm have sufficient working capital or not? Are capital budgeting procedures effective or not? So, in this here, production and operation functions consist of all those activities that transform inputs into goods and services. Production operation management deals with inputs, transformation, and outputs that vary across industries and markets. So here, the basic function, the decisions within production operations. So decision areas. What are the decision areas? Decision areas, they are processes, and I will give you example decisions. These decisions include choice of technology, facility layout, process flow analysis, facility location, line balancing, process control, and transportation analysis. Distance from raw materials to production sites to customers are a major consideration. These decisions include forecasting. For example, in the case of capacity, the decision include forecasting, facilities planning, aggregate planning, scheduling, capacity planning, and queuing analysis. Capacity utilization is a major consideration. Inventory. These decisions involve managing the level of raw materials, work in process, and finished goods, especially considering what to order, when to order, how much to order, and materials handling. In the case of decision areas of workforce, the decisions involve managing the skilled, unskilled, clerical, and managerial employees by caring for job design, work measurement, job enrichment, work standards, and motivation techniques. Quality. These decisions are aimed at ensuring that high quality goods and services are produced by caring for quality control, sampling, testing, quality assurance, and cost controls. So, Implication of various strategies on production and operations. So implication of various strategies on production operations includes various strategies. For example, low cost provider. That implication creates high barriers to entry and creates a larger market, requires longer production runs and fewer product changes. And high quality provider, it's one of the various strategy that requires more quality assurance efforts, requires more expensive equipment, requires highly skilled workforce and higher wages. And in the case of provide great customer service strategy, it requires more service people, service powers, equipment, and require rapid response to customer needs and changes in customer tastes, and with high inventory investment. The first strategy is be the first to introduce new products. It means of course, being the first in the to introduce new product, it has high resource and development costs, has high retraining and tooling costs, and in the case of strategy 5, become highly automated, requires high capital investment, reduced flexibility, may affect labor relations, makes maintenance and more crucial, and minimize layoffs. Serves the security needs of employees and may develop employee loyalty, helps attract, retain highly skilled employees, and etc. So here you can see the again the checklist, the checklist for production and operations. And here you can see our suppliers of raw materials, parts, and sub-assemblies are reliable and reasonable. Are inventory control policy procedures effective or not? Quality control policy and procedures effective? Facilities, resource, and market strategically located? And does the firm have technological competence? As you can see, the other checklist is very important, and you guys have to find the answers for this in the case of production operation in order to be a competitive advantage and have a competitive advantage, of course, not for temporarily, of course, for long-term sustained competitive advantage. You have to know about this checklist and you have to know the answer for the questions, right? And in here again, the research and development of the checklist, and I'm not going to read the all, but you guys can read and you can read. You can hear if you want, and if you guys want to learn more about, I would like to recommend a book. For example, in here you can say The Global Strategic Management by George Frinas and Kamal Melahe. That's also very useful book for improving the knowledge in here. And uh, as you can see here, research and development audit are the resource allocated effectively, and does the firm have R&D facilities? Are they adequate, and are the present products technologically competitive? And one of the important one, are management information and computer systems are adequate? Is communication between R&D and other organizational units effective or not? That's very important questions. So in here you can see the MIS, which is that stands for Management Information System. That's its purpose is to improve the performance of an enterprise by improving the quality of managerial decisions. An effective information system collects, codes, stores, synthesis, and presents information in such a manner that it answers important operating and strategic questions, right? So management information systems are the checklist. I'm going to tell this guys for you. Do all managers in the firm uses information system to make decision? Is there a chief information officer or director of information systems position in the firm? Are data in the information system updated regularly? Do managers from all functional areas of the firm contribute input to the information system? Are there effective password for entry into the firm's information systems or not? So you guys understand, right? And here you guys can see the value chain analysis, VCA. It refers to the process whereby a firm determine the costs associated with organizational activities, from purchasing raw materials to manufacturing products to marketing those products. And VCA aims to identify where low cost advantage or disadvantages exist anywhere along the value chain from raw material to customer service activities. So here again, benchmarking. The benchmarking is an analytical tool used to determine whether firms' value chain activities are competitive compared to rivals, I mean the competitors, and thus conducive to winning in the marketplace. And it entails measuring cost of value chain activities across an industry to determine best practices and transforming value chain activities into sustained competitive advantage. Transforming value chain activities into sustained competitive advantage is value chain activities are identified and assessed. Then it follows core competences arise in some activities. Some core competences evolve into distinctive competences, and some distinctive competence yield sustained competitive advantages. See, guys, uh, all firms, companies, organizations have goals for achieving sustained competitive advantages all the time. So that's the reason the internal factor evaluation matrix, that's one of the very important metrics or model, or we can say the analysis tool in order to analyze the internal condition and internal position of a firm or organization. So IFAE matrix, it lists key internal factors as identified in the internal audit processes, assign a weight that range from 0.0 not important to 1 all important to each factor, assign to 1 to 4 rating to each factor to indicate whether that factor represents a strengths or weaknesses, multiply each factor's weight by its rating to determine a weighted score for each variable, sum the weighted scores for each variable to determine the total weighted score for the organization, guys. So here you can see the sample for internal factor evaluation methods for retail computer store, and as you can see the key internal factors: weight, rating, weighted score. And before doing that, I'm going to remind you the SWOT analysis, right? In here you can use the strengths and the weaknesses of the part of this SWOT analysis. For example, what are the strengths of the company? Inventory turnover increased from 5.8 to 6.7. That weight is 0.5, 0.05, and rating 3, weighted score 0.15, right? And there here you can, it's given all the strengths of the retail computer store, right? And here you can, it's given weaknesses. For example, one of the example of weaknesses is revenues from software segment of store down to 12%. It means it's a weight, it equals 0, 0.10, and rating 2, and here weighted score is 0.20. And in here I want you guys to pay attention that when you're writing the ratings for strengths, you have to write 3 to 4, and for weaknesses 1 to 2, right? And you don't have to write 3 or 4 because it goes to the strength part. So the total should be 1, and here the weighted score, it should be 2.5. As mentioned earlier, it's all the weighted score of this is 2.5, which means that, see, assign 1 to 2 for rating each factor to indicate whether that factor represents strengths or weaknesses. So it means that's a little bit above the normal, right? Because it's 2.50. So guys, thank you very much for your time and attention. It was the end of the chapter 4 and chapter 4 lecture 3 videos, because of long and big information we had to cover for in 3 lectures, and it was the end of that. And thank you very much. And if you guys have any questions and comments, please leave comments and I will reply all your comments, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Take care, guys.